Hello, I'm Suja Lowenthal from the 2nd Council District. Welcome to this edition of Heart of the City. Recently, I got together with residents, neighborhood, and business associations to discuss the state of the 2nd District. This was the 6th year of hosting the event, and I'm proud to say we were the first council district to do so. The setting, the historic Edison Theater in downtown. The purpose of the event is to provide stakeholders in our community with an update on our successes, challenges, and goals during this last year. Even our neighborhood and business associations provide reports. For this Heart of the City, I've asked Gretchen Swanson from the East 7th Street Collaboration and Sydney Kramer from On Broadway to join me for a summary of their report. Welcome. Gretchen, tell us a little bit about the East 7th Street Collaboration and what you hope to accomplish.
East 7th Street is an area of Long Beach that was annexed to the city in 1909. It's about a 2 square mile area that now today has about 33,000 people. And the collaboration is made up of neighborhoods along that route, the East 7th Street route. So Craftsman Village, North Alamitos Beach, and the Rose Park Neighborhood Association, plus many retailers and property owners that live or work on the street itself.
Would you say 7th Street is the major corridor that binds these neighborhoods together?
Yes, I would. It's an important corridor. It's a way for people to get from their home to where they work, and many people come through East 7th Street to downtown from the east side. So there are tens of thousands of cars that come through and intersect, but also unify those neighborhoods.
So in terms of the number of cars that come down through that street, it's a lot, but we are trying to accomplish that neighborhood feel. So what do the neighborhoods want through this process?
The neighborhoods are very interested in having a smart street. It functions better, it looks nicer, it welcomes people, because we think of ourselves as the welcome mat to downtown from the east side. So all of those factors have to come into play.
So at the recent State of the 2nd District, we announced funding for a master planning process. And typically master planning is done on a larger scale, but we've decided that smaller corridors that really bind and are the backbone to these neighborhoods need planning as well. What do you hope to see through this funding process, through having a master planning development?
We're very excited. We feel as though we need to do our homework, and we will be hosting a street event in October to give us information about what can work on the street. And a couple of those ideas are taking parking areas that are not typically available to the public and work on that permit process and give people that idea that there is parking along that boulevard. Activating the street related to restaurants. So we'll have temporary permits for what we call caflets, cafe tables and chairs and umbrellas out on this particular weekend in October. And the piece de resistance is a juried art competition, so that people are going to be incentivized to reimagine what could happen along East 7th Street.
So looking ahead at 2013, for the rest of this year, what would be the one thing you'd like to see done?
We are working to follow up on what you just said, is 7th Street as a destination for the people that live there. So once they arrive home, they park their car, and then they can go out to East 7th Street and other areas to live the rest of their life.
Yeah. So congratulations to you and the collaboration, because the very first installment, I feel like, is the work you did with Big Saver. And
yes,
the third iteration, correct?
Is fabulous. We were able to influence, with some help, a major development along that corridor at the corner of Junipero. And also, what's very exciting, and we're going to enjoy this year, is the repaving, pavers at the intersection, a tree design that's been implemented. So there are a lot of actions which will build on themselves. When those trees start to bloom in 2 or 3 years, people will really have an impression as they go down East 7th Street that they're someplace, which is what you're talking about.
All things hopefully will make people stop a while and stop and look around and see what there is to actually experience. And I think that's what you're helping develop, is that experience along 7th Street. Similar to 7th Street, we have Sydney Kramer here with On Broadway, very much the street of experience and a lot of history too. A little different from these neighborhoods that Gretchen describes, but tell us a little bit about On Broadway, where it's bounded and what our goals are.
Well, Broadway is a place for me. I have my business there, and I also live off of Broadway. So a lot of the other small businesses owners on the street are also, local residents as well as having their business. So we're all highly invested in the area and making it a great place for ourselves and our neighbors. Like the 7th Street corridor, Broadway is a long corridor, and it goes from Alamitos Boulevard to Belmont, which is the last commercial building and professional building on the street from east to west. So what we've done is, since it is such a long corridor, we've kind of come up with the villages concept. So we could kind of allow people to identify with their local neighbors and create little compact nodes or little villages where we can have events at each village, and the On Broadway Association can be there to kind of help support the smaller groups and associations.
Now, are the villages separated by blocks? Is there a clean division between the villages, and how many villages are there?
There are 6 villages. And we kind of have some on our website, on BroadwayLB.com. We have defined streets, but they overlap. It is more of a suggestion because we share our experiences with each other, and it's important that we do come out and we are sharing things. And I think that's one of the things that you encouraged me to do, was really to kind of step up. And this was 5 years ago.
It was 5 years ago.
5 years ago. And just your suggestion of taking this association, which wasn't very active, and just asking us to really step up, and that inspired me. And I've been president now for 5 years, and I think we've got this great association where our meetings are really a great place for us to get together and meet and mingle and help each other.
Similar to 7th Street, we announced at the State of the 2nd District that we're going to be funding a master planning process for On Broadway.
Very exciting news.
We are very excited as well, because those of us who are working at the council, myself especially, and my staff, it gives us an opportunity to work on things incrementally, as opposed to looking just at the big picture and being daunted by it. And so with this planning process, what would be the initial things you'd look forward to? I know we talked about lighting along the street, we talked about facade improvement. What would be the initial couple things that businesses would like to see?
I think the sort of the bulb outs on some of the sidewalk intersections and enhanced bus stops, pedestrian lighting, the banners for signages for each village along the street. And we expect in the next couple months to have the vertical garden in place at Falcon Village.
What is the vertical garden?
We will have planters that will be vertically installed along the sides of buildings. And what we hope to do, the ambassador from Falcon Village, Nicoletta, she is heading that project, and after the installation of the first one in Falcon Village at Falcon and Broadway, we'll be able to easily duplicate that same process. And one thing we'd like to do is have a vertical garden at each village, and try and tie each village together along and with that theme, and sort of things that create independence about each village but also link us together.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want to thank both of you. What both of you have described and shared with us today is really the city motto, which is many neighborhoods, one city. And so we take a smaller piece of that, many neighborhoods, one area, and really work on this to ensure that it is a place where we can be happy living. And it's a place that when we drive by, we stop and smell the flowers maybe a little bit. So I'm very happy to take that bigger picture and work on these smaller pieces with you. And thank you for your commitment and your dedication. Thank you so very much for joining us today. And that just about does it for us for this edition of Heart of the City. I'm Councilmember Suja Lowenthal. Please do visit our website for the reports as well as the video from State of the 2nd District.